Hi guys and welcome to Avalanche's FF7 playthrough. We've now completed the first segment of Midgar and we're going to be moving on to the Kalm segment of the playthrough, which is 2 parts as opposed to 10 for Midgar. This will see us enter our first town, collect some items and exploring Cloud's past. After both of these episodes we'll start detailing more about his hometown Nibelheim and be moving forward exploring all of the eastern...
Okay, in Kalm we have a lot of houses and a side quest that we have to do where we have to find out about Cloud's past. But before we go on to do the side quest I'm going to collect all the secret items. So if you go in every house there's an item. You also learn a lot about macro energy and you can have a quick chat with people. Now you will come back to Kalm much later in the game to do arguably the hardest quest of the game. So if you have a quick look around you'll see there's lots of secret items and whatnot. You can also have a chat with lots of people. Plants and animals have been disappearing. That will allude to something we'll find out later on with Red 13 or Naniki. So we've been in this house and we've got the secret item in this house. All you're going to do is go around every house has an item. So in this house you can let a dog out if you go here. You can also have a chat with the guy here. And then up the top here we have an item here. Some of these chests are locked, but don't worry about that, you can't actually open them in the entire game, so there's nothing to be concerned about there. To the next house. In one of these houses you'll actually find a weapon for a character which you won't yet have, which might sort of confuse you, but it will allude to a new character you're going to get into your party much later on, called the Peacemaker. And if you have a look at the item, it looks like a gun, so you think it can be equipped on Barrett, but it can't be. It's actually equipped on a new character who uses guns as well, but proper guns, not gun arms like Barrett does. There's nothing in here, and if we quickly flip upstairs we'll find another sort of people we can talk to. You can also find a source there. When you're collecting these guard sources and all the other sources, what they do is they raise your statistics by 1 point, because what will happen is, throughout the game, when your characters who aren't in your party are travelling with you, they will level up at the same rate, but if they're not in your party, they won't level up with the same statistics, so you'll need to find a way of manually raising the statistics, and that's what the sources are used for. Also, you will find that your statistics won't reach their maximum because when you equip materia it lowers them. And this is an interesting chap here, he's got his health and all as well. When you come to see him in Disc 2 and Disc 3, much later on in the game, he'll give you the option to do some other tasks, shall we say. I don't want to put a spoiler on it. Okay, now, up top there are the shops. I'm not going to show you what happens when you go in there, but there's lots of new materia and weapons, but most of the weapons we'll have already got better weapons for. You know, we've got a new weapon for Cloud, a new weapon for Barrett, and a new weapon for Aerith. So it's only Red 13 and Tifa we'd need to get new weapons for, and those two people I'm sort of not too worried about. So I'm going to fade out now, and we're going to look at Cloud. So Cloud's going on about how when he worked in Soldier, and that was 5 years ago. That infamous phrase, that was 5 years ago. So, this is Cloud when he was 16, apparently. In a Shinra truck with a couple of basic combatants and a very mysterious man who we will probably know as Sephiroth. If you don't, you will certainly find out. Now he's travelling to his old hometown of Nibelheim. The cool customer that's known as Sephiroth. So it's not a typical mission. Now, when we're in this truck on the way to Shinra, a lot of the ground around Nibelheim is quite rocky, so that's why you can hear a lot of the sort of the rumbling. In essence, we're going to be doing a lot of mountain exploring in the past. It is playable, so you will be able to sort of affect some of the sort of issues, if you like. But other than that, we won't have to worry too much about it. So brutal creatures at the Mako reactor. And now you get your first taste of life when Cloud was 16 and a weakling, and Sephiroth was this big monster he was battling with. Now unfortunately we don't get to attack with Sephiroth, and he's just done 3,000 damage, and Cloud's got killed in 1 hit. Well, that wasn't very nice. so his strength is much more than you need. So, here we are at Cloud's hometown. This is the Nibbleham theme tune. Remember that Cloud left his hometown when he was very young. So when he was 16, that's the first time he'd been back to his hometown for a while. And Sephiroth's mother was Genova. Now obviously we met Genova earlier, and she was the beast, the monster. So how could Sephiroth be born from a monster? There's a few questions that are already going to be raised. You know, how can a monster give birth to what appears to be a human being, albeit a superhuman being? Clearly there's a few sort of mysteries here that need answering. If you talk to either of the chaps here, they don't really say anything. So you can just go on forward into the town. This is the bit, you are talking about the past here, so this is where Barrett jumps in and stops the story already. The damned headless spook. You can ask questions later. So, are they afraid to come out because there's loads of monsters roaming around, or are they afraid to come out because there's some big, strong people walking in? And then this is where Sephiroth will say, you are allowed to go visit your friends. And one of the guys can go and have a little pit stop. Right, I'm going to fade out now. What you can do is a little bit of exploration. When you're ready to continue, you need to go back into that house and say goodbye to your friends, and then you'll go to the Mako Reactor tomorrow morning. So you've got a bit of a chance now to have a little exploration. Anything that isn't pivotal to the story won't let you continue. So for instance, this is Cloud's house, so that will let us continue. This is Tifa's house. So, did you go into Tifa's house? Yes. Now, what's interesting here is you can learn some secrets about Tifa. So if you go around the house, quick exploration, there's nothing that seems very important. However, if you have a real good exploration, the first thing you'll notice is you can go into what appears to be her parents' room. Now if you go into her parents' room and then into Tifa's room, you say that you went into Tifa's room, you're allowed to go in. Now there's a note on Tifa's desk. If I can just get around to reading it. Now, those two options that I just selected, yes, and I remember clearly you have to do that in order to get the text. So this is a little sort of secret letter, if you like. Now, you might have already worked out who this is who sent this letter, because it's talking about going to Midgar to find a job with Shinra, and it's talking about Cloud and stuff. And then if you click yes, I remember, you get the rest of it. Is that stupid old water tower? Are the parents at the shop doing okay? Have monsters attacked? How are you? So, I'll let you know that this is from Johnny, the chap we met in Midgar. Now, the reason that's important is because that will allow you to sort of learn more about Tifa. Because obviously, when you meet Johnny in Midgar, you don't know what's happening. The Underwear that I've just collected, if you collect just kidding or it's true, it doesn't really affect it. So it just annoys her. Now, the next thing that's important is if you come over to the piano. Now, you've got three options here. If you click just a little. Now, if you remember this pattern, do, re, mi, ti, la, do, re, mi, so, fa, do, re, do. And you just say, oh, forget it. Now, you might think, hang on, that's just some random music. Why is that important? That is a code. Now, every single thing in Final Fantasy VII that is told to you for a reason, and the storyline is really intrinsic. So it's important that you remember the sheet music that was there. Now, if we just go back, it won't actually let us play on it again. So you had to select the correct option there. That's all you need to do in Tifa's house. I'm going to fade out house. It has nothing to do with what happened 5 years ago. So at the moment, you know, there's an allusion to whether it matters or not. Again, this is an optional extra. If you click alright, you learn more about Cloud's past. If you don't, then you don't. The only thing that was key there was what we did with Tifa's house, because that gives you the code which you will later then need. I'm not telling you where yet, but obviously, everything that's told to you, it matters for a reason. So here, you'll recognise this scene from a quick flashback that we had. So you get Cloud's mum having a quick chat with you. So all this is just a basic dialogue. So what I'm going to do now is let this play through, and you can clearly see, oh, mum's worried about her, not seen you in years, how are you? Now, the main bulk of the story will actually take place when we go and investigate the monsters in the Mako reactor. So this next little bit I'm just going to let play through, but then after that I'm going to fade out until we get to the monsters travelling. So soldier uniforms, you can't just see the basic soldier uniform. And what these are basic memories of what Cloud remembers. He doesn't remember all the little bits in between. I bet all the girls leave you alone. Of course, he really likes Tifa. Good old mother's worried sick about you. So, a little sort of, insight to Cloud's past. If you go back in there, nothing happens. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue. The other house we've been in is just a store. Now, if you click here, this chap here is called Zangan. A girl called Tifa is your student. And that's where a little bit of the mystery in the game appears, because Cloud's just saying, oh, Tifa. But what he really should be saying is, oh, Tifa, I've not seen her in years. So why isn't Cloud that interested in Tifa? Now, this sort of mystery, you won't actually find out what it means until much later on in the game. Click yeah, let's get some sleep, we'll continue. So, we've had the sleep and it's the following morning, and here we are, out ready to explore. So the guide gets here, they're going to then head out. In case something happens, Tifa's father's very protective and Sephiroth says, trust me. Now, this is the confusing part that some people don't understand about the story, where Cloud's saying he's overprotective, but he doesn't act like he knows her that well. Now, is this because he's not been back to town for years and he's forgotten what Tifa looks like? Or, this is one of the beauties of Final Fantasy VII, in that they're keeping that mystery alive, and you have to work it out yourself. Don't think it's just a game being a bit stupid. It is a deliberate mystery. Like I said, it will become much clearer later on. So here we are, good old picture before they go off exploring. So after we go exploring, we're going to walk up this bridge with Cloud. But the bridge can't hold the weight. I love it how they're all balanced and then suddenly the bridge falls over and collapses. Now unfortunately, when the bridge does collapse and they all come to, they're a bit sort of disoriented, to say the least. So Cloud's on his own with Tifa, and then we have Sephiroth and one of the members of Soldier coming round, and then -1 member. So now they're going to travel together. If you go into your menu, Sephiroth's now with you. You can't access your items. If you go to Materia, you can find out what Sephiroth is using, complete mastered Materia, but if you try and move it, you can't, because obviously this is in the past. And you can find out what weapons and stuff he's using, so you can see his statistics are really high. He's got really strong abilities and stuff. If you click status on Sephiroth, you can find out, look at his stats, they're ridiculously high. So that's why he's just such a strong person. Now if we go down here, it will actually just take us to an area that we can't continue on. So yeah, that's no use to us at the moment. So what we need to do is we need to continue up the path. That's sort of where the bridge collapsed and put Sephiroth. So we're going to get into a lot of battles out here. I'll let a couple of them play through. But all you need to understand is that Sephiroth will attack everything really strong. He can use magic, he can use anything. He doesn't take any damage. And he's got all these ridiculously strong spells, which basically instantly kill anything. If Cloud does get killed, Sephiroth can then cast a revive spell on him, which will fully revive him. The other interesting thing is that his MP doesn't go down. In other words, he's just so strong he can cast spells all day long. So, up the road we go here. Well, road, path if you like. Just skipped out that next battle and we get into the caves. So, this is one of the interesting caves of Mountain Nibble, you know, named after Nibblehim. So, the reason why this Mako reactor was built here is because the mountain's completely abundant in the energy. If you have a quick explore around, you'll find there's more boss battles, but also it will take us to what's known as a Mako fountain. You might get a chance to see Cloud attack here. No. Sephiroth's gauge moves up a lot quicker than everyone else's. I'll let some of these play through just so you can see the FMV, you know, the actual sort of magic interactions. They look very pretty. And then we need to walk through here to the Mako fountain. By the way, if I'm using the pronunciation Mako or Mako, it depends on, you know, if you're an American or an Englishman, whether you pronounce it Mako or Mako. A lot of the game's translations, because they're originally done from Japanese, they are often sort of, you know, one of two or one of three different pronunciations. This beautiful fountain's full of energy, but it's going to get lost. When you condense Mako energy, it produces materia, and this is materia being naturally produced. And this is important. When they're saying freely use the powers of the land, that's why all of the spells you can cast are elemental, so, you know, fire, ice, water, lightning, earth. Because the ancients, the Cetra, they were the people of the, you know, earth, so they were able to call upon the elements of the earth. Just saying here that Hojo was an inexperienced man assigned to take over the work of a great scientist. So it's interesting there that, you know, Sephiroth doesn't have the best sort of regard of Hojo, shall we say. Hojo is the chap we met in the Shinra building, who's the chief scientist working for Shinra on a lot of, you know, a lot of projects. But he was the one who wanted to breed Aerith and Red together, or have them destroyed, either way. And this is our target. The actual Mako reactor, or Mako reactor at Mount Nibble. Now if you go forward, you get into a little bit of a dilemma, because Cloud then says you have to wait here. So we've now got the other guard, the one who's left alive, just stood outside, waiting with Tifa, making sure that she's safe. And Tifa goes in a bit of a huff, saying, "You better take good care of me." So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go forward and learn about some of the secrets of this Mako reactor. So we're just going to follow Sephiroth through the door, and we get into where the area is sort of malfunctioning, shall we say, and potentially producing monsters. Because obviously the game, you know, 5 years ago wasn't meant to be producing monsters. So this is trying to you know, mimic reality in the sense that this is Genova. But Sephiroth knows it is Mother's Genova, but it won't open, so he's a bit confused. So Sephiroth believes that the reason why there's a malfunction is just that one part is slightly broken. So we'll quickly fix that part. Job's done, so there won't be any more monsters produced, theoretically. Or so we think. So now Sephiroth understands why the errors are occurring. And remember, he says that here is a device which is condensing Mako energy. It becomes materia. Hojo puts something else. So this is just meant to be producing materia on a widespread scale in energy, but there's something else in there. I'm going to look through the window. So this should just be making lots of energy and materia. But what else is inside? There is something inside. It looks like a big beast. And Cloud shot me and taken aback. What the hell is it? Normal members of Soldier are humans that have been showered with Mako. You're different from the others, but still human. But what are they? So these are actual people who are being completely, drip-fed it. It's almost like they're being put on a saline solution in a hospital, but here they're being put on a Mako solution. So Shinra is producing these monsters by taking normal human beings and just throwing their bodies full of Mako energy. But Cloud said something bad. He said, are you different to Soldier? Are you made like this? Was I created this way too? So, they are human beings in the sense that they were born, they live, and they joined Shinra in the same way. But then once they've been put in these machines, they're just being completely compressed into pure magic, allowing these monsters to sort of develop magical powers and become, monsters, full stop. Sephiroth felt he was special in some way. And now we get to see what happens when we have just natural malfunctions. The monsters get too strong, start casting spells, and now they jump out. So essentially, Shinra has been producing a lot of these monsters from...
Thanks for watching the first episode of the Kalm playthrough. In the next episode of Kalm playthrough, we'll be completing Cloud's past and then exploring the rest of the Eastern continent before we enter our first mini dungeon of the world map, the Mithril Mine.